everything can happen at TI, they said. They were right. Welcome to another episode of me totally failing predictions because, holy, this TI has been a bit too unpredictable. XG were the best team by far this tournament, Aurora, Liquid and Spirit have been disappointing and more. We'll look over all of that in a second, but first I want to say that for me at least, this has been by far a better international than what we've gotten in previous years. I feel like TI12 and TI14 and even TI11 have been a bit boring with no actual Cinderella stories, but this TI has been honestly full of surprises. Now, I want to talk about the first takeaway of TI. Chinese teams just looked amazing. Even Yakutu, who some people predicted to either finish dead last or on the 1-4 slot, those guys were still far better than what people have expected of them. Heroic really impressed me. I had them as elimination losers, but they've somehow played amazingly well. After losing the first two series of TI, that last game against Yakutu proved that S8 deserved the spot that was given to SEA this year. Speaking of Yakutu or whatever, I was a bit skeptical when they gave them gaming slot because I felt like OG should have gotten it because OG are a European team. Well, screw that. Despite getting knocked out, I still think they've done better than what could have possibly been an OG disaster class. Nemesis and Boom were the teams that came dead last, and honestly it did not come as a surprise to me. I literally put them as the bottom two teams because if I'm being honest, I wasn't really expecting a good performance from either teams. I love SEA pips, I love SEA crowds, I love SEA fans. But the issue is that Dota started to not be the main MOBA in the region. Mobile Legends sort of took over and I think we'll see a pretty decent decline in player base in the region for years to come. Despite this, I want to praise someone who's played decent Dota despite finishing last. I liked seeing Mac play. He had some pretty decent plays, but unfortunately it was not enough. I would give you my stance on Na'Vi, but sadly it was the only team that I could not watch. Judging by results and fans' reactions, they've just had a very poor tournament. But judging by the road to TI matches, there would have been no way they could have possibly qualified. They had to play 5 teams that have made it to TI. In the end, that's just sad. Wildcards surprised me, and honestly, they've played some really good Dota. They are literally the last guard of NA pros, and honestly, I wouldn't have chosen any other team for that. They've played far better than what I expected of them. I thought they might even crash out and be at the bottom of the group, but they've played fine. Even Parry sort of struggled in the first game against Wildcard, of course, before Satanic overwhelmed them with his anti-mage, but they still proved that they are not the worst team in the elimination rounds. Parry were pretty much decent. Honestly, a bit underwhelming because they couldn't really make it as the second 4-1 team, but it was very close between them and Bad Boom, so I don't think people should underestimate them. Liquid though, they have been incredibly underwhelming. I thought they might make it as the 4-1 team going to the tournament. I thought they would just play better Dota, but unfortunately, they did not. Now, people might say, oh, well, in group stages they only lost to Falcons and Tidebound. Well, that doesn't matter. They lost to Tundra in elimination rounds. A team with a stand-in that is not even playing his main role. And no, they weren't really close despite going to a third game. Insania won the second game all by himself with those saves, and the third game was just a total stomp. They've totally lost the last game purely because of the drafting. They totally deserve getting knocked out. Tundra, however, I loved watching them, even with a stand-in. I'm very happy that they've proved me right. I had faith that even with a stand-in, they would make it to TI, and they just did. Totally deserved it after that Liquid disaster class, despite having a shaky group stage performance. Aurora and Nigma. Man, I'm speechless. I don't even want to talk about this series. Mainly because I almost punched my monitor, and honestly... okay, listen. The reason why I came this close punching my monitor is because I had Aurora as elimination winners. And honestly, they were very close. But one moment just completely ruined their momentum, and people have been blaming Kyotaka for that. For me, it looked like a communication blunder. Look closely. There are no pings, there's no real synergy. Kyotaka probably thought they might want to get back, and Tokyo probably thought killing the Tusk would have been instrumental in that scenario. Two different views that would have probably worked if they came to an agreement on one of them. I still hate Aurora for ruining my predictions, but oh well, it happens. But because of this, I think Aurora will either kick some of their players or just drop the whole roster. Nigma though, I've seen people praise Ghost, I've seen people praise Sumail, to be fair, rightfully so, but where are my new Glazers? I feel like that Lycan play, when Aurora had officially thrown the game, was as good as Sumail's Requiem in that scenario. In the final game of the series, I feel like his Underlord Axe second item rush was just what they needed to win the game. His plays were also on point. I feel like he deserves way more credit than he gets. Spirit have been underwhelming. I'm not joking. They've been underwhelming for the whole tournament. There is no denying that they've looked like a shadow of their former selves. I honestly predicted them to be the undefeated team, and that couldn't have been further from the truth. They've played bad, honestly, especially in the elimination series against Falcons. I could not watch their second game, but I did watch the first game. Man, it was like watching Dota terrorism. There have been so many misplays from both teams, so many weird interactions, but honestly, Falcons deserved it. Yatoro had 3 very questionable TPs towards the end of the series that just made me cheer for Falcons even more, and clearly not because I predicted them as elimination winners. Either way, Malrine and Amar deserve to go TI. They've played amazing Dota, they've been instrumental. You can say whatever you want about Amar's antics, but he was arguably Falcon's best player along with Malrine. He might be toxic, but there's no denying that he's one of the best players in the world and probably one of the best players of all time very soon. Also, to close it out on Falcons versus Spirit, even if you've only watched the group stage, you could totally see that Spirit did not deserve a spot at TI, and Falcons should have been the team to go through. Bad Boom came as a huge surprise to me. I really thought they might just be elimination winners, and after the Nigma game, I thought they might just even be elimination losers. Even though it would have been great for my predictions to see them lose the game against Paravision, I'm glad they made it. No matter what, I'm not a huge fan of players like GPK or Pure, but they did deserve to be the 4-1 team. XG and Tidebound, is there anything left to say about those teams? I predicted XG to be the elimination losers and Tidebound to be the elimination winners. Guess what? They've both made it without even playing in the elimination rounds. XG was a very huge surprise for me because besides the fact that they were going to play with a stand-in, they weren't really the best team in the world. Granted, I couldn't really watch that much Dota 1 month before TI, but judging by past results, they just weren't that good. Glad they've proved me wrong. Because of that, we've witnessed some of Dota's greatest stories and some incredible letdowns. All of that at the expense of our predictions. I think this was all made possible by the introduction of Swiss brackets to TI. I think it fits the new international formula better than what's been used ever since 2022. I think, or was it 2023? I don't really remember that well. It finally felt like a watchable tournament nonetheless. PGL production was a bit shaky, to be fair, not as shaky as in previous years, but if you've been watching it on YouTube, some of the lag that you might have experienced was actually YouTube's fault and not PGL's. I hope they'll fix it soon. Who's going to win TI? I've got my money on Extreme. Who's going to not win a single game? Probably Nigma, Tundra, or Heroic. Also, if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I want to see who's going to be your TI winner, and I hope I'll see you next time.